let's go, learn some stuff and impress our friends. That's not the point. The point is that we become more spiritually grounded because we can better understand it. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Having said that, so again, lots of writing gets required. I think that when we take a class, you should produce something. If we're in a typical class, high school or college, there's a final exam. Maybe it's a test, maybe it's a project, but it's something that certifies that that you've mastered this stuff. This is what I've learned. It's a showcase representation of some sort. We haven't had that. And as a community, when I look and I say, we're teaching the introduction to the Medu Netter again, right? There should have been some advancements. We should look a little different. It should feel a little different. And frankly, it really doesn't. So I do want us as a class, as a community, to come away with something that is concrete. One thing I say when I teach both the intro and the intermediate classes, and we also have had classes on Book of Coming Forth that was based on this Sunday Medu, is that we don't draw here. Now, if we look around us in our sanctuary and also in the space coming into our sanctuary, you don't see the Medu anywhere. And it should be. If we were in a temple, not that, we need to reflect everything that was in Kemet. If we were in a temple there, there'd be drawings on the ceilings and the walls and around the door trim, on the walkway. Some would be permanent, some would be temporal. It might be for a given festival or a celebration, and they'd be washed away and it'd be replaced with something else. Just kind of like our mural we have out here in events. That'd be a seasonal thing. So I would like for us towards the end of this class to go right on the walls. Maybe not necessarily in here because people might freak out a little bit. But something, and so start thinking about that. So some ideas might be for us to, doesn't necessarily need to be permanent so we can replace, but some ideas might be to spend our last week or two out here in the walkway and take what we've learned and apply it to the walkway. Get some paint and give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It looks horrific and we didn't spell it correctly. And just paint over it, right? I mean, what's the big deal? So that's one suggestion. Also, maybe doing the steps. You can do some Medu across the steps, so as you're walking, you see something being expressed to you on the steps. So one of these should work. So that one is not one of them. So if you're walking this way, and you see the steps over there, and maybe we have something expressed here going down this way. Yes? Mm-hmm. Maybe you could say I'm in Ryan Tap, or something like that as you walk. I was talking with our kids in my 4th or 5th grade class, and how did it come up? I think I was just doing a review from the previous year. I forgot what it said. I forgot how we got it. But anyway, we started talking about what does Septermber mean. It was a review. What does Septermber mean? And what is for a tap? So what does Septermber mean? My kids drive me crazy. And they go, I don't know, coolness, something. I don't know. But what does Septermber mean?
Something's pleased.
Peace. Okay. And what does it look like? We're to draw it out. Ooh, got you.
HTP.
Oh, okay, that was the transliteration. So yes, HTP. Okay, and someone said it means peace. So what does it look like? Okay, so look up here at the altar. So again, I'm glad we start right here because this is like, it makes sense. So look at our altar. What's the most prominent thing in our space there? What's the most
on the table?
The whole space.
Oh, the whole space.
What's the most prominent thing? Don't miss the obvious.
Well, the Ankh is one.
The Ankh is one, yes. I probably led you astray. I got you focusing on the table. Focus on the whole space. When you look at the picture, what else? When you look at that space, what is the most prominent thing in that space? Don't miss the obvious.
Picture on the back wall.
So don't miss the obvious.
Table.
Table. There you go. There you go. There you go. More than sharpness for it. So the table. And it should, perhaps it might surprise you that the symbol for Peace was a shorthand image of an altar. Expand this. You might add tables to it. You might add a Kikombe Chao Moja. In our time, we probably would add a Kanara. I say in our time. What do I say in our time? Kara, what do I say in our time? We would add a Kanara as opposed to their time. Anybody?
Oh, because of Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa ain't that old, right? But so we might add it. So they have a full picture of an altar, but they shorthanded out and pulled out just the key element of it. And you'll find this is true for many of the symbols, that there's some portion that's pulled out. So it is just literally this. But when you see it, you might see it differently depending upon how much time and space that the writer had. Whether color, peace, one is satisfied. We can all add to that content. And so in our discussion in class, I said, what would it mean if we said Amen, Hetep, or you could say Ra Hetep? What would that mean?
God's peace, Creator's peace.
So it could be in any number of trends. You could say it's God's peace. You could say peace be to God, right? You could say you could mean it to mean God is satisfied, and that's why. And it depends upon the interpretation, some other things that might be within that text. So there are a number of ways you can translate that, but they're all going to be really relatively close. And so the thing I pressed with the children here, my students, was that this was an expression, one of many expressions, which is for the most part saying God is satisfied. All right, and you can imagine an extremely short prayer, or a mantra, or something that you might say at the end of your day, to say Amen Hetep, or Ra Hetep, to say that God is satisfied with me today. You know, if we had that as a standard for how you begun your day, that you want to close by being able to declare that God is satisfied with my actions today. Especially for 9 and 10-year-olds, they would act a little differently. And we might too. You know, so we had a community dialogue about practicing ma'at. And that's an example of that, to have that kind of in your head throughout the day, and to say to someone that God is satisfied with you, to say to your children, to loved ones, to colleagues, you know, God is, and they keep saying that over and over again. You know, so then we start to behave in a certain way, and people are always saying this to you: God is satisfied with you. And there's a way to form it into a question: is God satisfied with you? Right? So it makes us think. But this all starts, because we now have some sense of this. Right? Yes? Yes, sir.
It's a sidebar, but hopefully on the point. When you start classes here at the school, they start out with a prayer before they start the lesson. It's true.
Now it depends on it depends on the teacher. So we do some prayer, meditation sporadically. So it's not like in middle school they might do meditation a couple times a week. Preschool does it every day. It really just depends. The prayer piece is one where we're like, when we have staff meetings and family meetings, which you might call PTA meeting, right, we always open with prayer. Okay. So part is kind of about how we shift and move, and how much of Wose do we plug into the school. Okay. You know, I mean, short answer: if you're a Catholic school and you got 1,000 folks applying for 100 positions, you can do what you want to do.
Oh yeah. Right.
If you got 70 spots and you got 70 kids, be careful, because
right,
you teaching them what? I'm leaving. Well, yeah.
Right. True.
So I gotta bring you in slow.
Balance.
You know, so even like when we opened up Wednesday and we had libation outside, so all the parents came, made breakfast, and then we went outside for a libation. For many families, that was the first time I've ever seen a libation. Right? So you don't beat them over the head with it, but because the way we do libation, how open it is, it's outside, it's fun, it's enjoy, connect with people. Then it's like, oh, hey, wait, what y'all doing? Oh, that's okay, cool. So it just helps them to transition in. So, but here's an example where we all know that hetep means peace. We may not have known that also means translated satisfied, and we did know that hetep actually its symbol is an altar. And because it's now an altar, that I think that helps to reinforce what the thing means. So like, well, why would they choose an altar to represent literally the HTP sound, which we're saying is hetep? So it's not, and this is another example where you have a symbol that is not just a letter. This is what's called a triliteral. It has 3 sounds to it. So why would they say, okay, we need to represent peace somehow? Why would they choose, or satisfy, why would they choose an altar? That's a conscious decision they made. They could have chosen a chair, or I don't know, they did a picture of the sun setting, end of the day, and hopefully the day has peace. Yeah. Take a sec. What would you do to represent peace or satisfaction? If you had to do it with a picture, what would you use right now today? What is a symbol that means peace for you?
Sunset.
Water.
A sunset? Water. Right. Water as well. Anybody else? Bagadi, what means peace for you, man? No, okay. Water. Okay. So water gives you a feeling of peace. Sunset, you're saying, gives you a feeling of peace. And so if you were...
Sunrise is very good.
Sunrise might be it.
Sunrise is good.
For some who walk a lot, I mentioned my wife, we need to go to the hills, go walk a little bit, Walking might be that thing that gives you peace. And so you might depict it as somebody walking, in the hills. Or with the sun in the background, make it really fancy. But whatever is that thing that conveys peace to you in this time. Might be getting a good grade. Oh, man, I got today. Woo, I'm cool now. I mean, really, that might be just high score in a video game.
Can you explain the difference, if there is a difference between hetep and hotep?
We'll come to that in a second.
Okay.
It's a quick answer. So that's what we would do, represent peace. Why would they choose an altar? I mean, before we had this conversation, how many of you would have chosen an altar over your stated suggestion of sunset, water, or sunrise? Right. So then, and this again is...
I think that, it's a concept of what peace means to you, number one, but the altar is more specific as to your goal, the individual goal, because we all believe in one thing, but our concept of what it means to you individually may be different from everyone else. Like my altar is a moment of peace, but it's also a moment where I go to say thank you. I try not to make petitions, but if I do, I do, very humbly. But that's the place, that's a specific place. But when I'm there, right here, then it's very, very different.
Exactly. Okay. I'm fine.
I think maybe also, sort of in addition to what Consuelo said, the altar for me is a sacred space. So if you're talking about spirit, God, and space that you can always go to. It's stationary.
Yeah.
It's not moving around. So it's a sacred space.
Okay. Okay. So and understanding this is the entire nation made this decision. Well, you know, maybe it was adopted, I would say, at least, by the entire nation. It wasn't that, you know, the altar meant something different at your house, and what you do. So in this community, some folks might put an altar during Kwanzaa time. Some have it, it's always present in their home. For some, it's outside. Some, it's inside. Some have pictures of loved ones. Some don't. It kind of depends. But so this whole community, I shouldn't say community, an entire nation saying this is what it means for us. And then it speaks to then their behavior. What did they do? Well, they ensured there was money to support priests who would open up the temple multiple temples, not just one, but throughout the country. And they'd open the temple up every single morning. And they'd come and they'd have altar, they'd have statues, they would clean, they would dress, they would sing. This is what the priests would do. And so God was centered, at least the Spirit was, throughout the land, of course, but the focal point was inside the temple. Right? So if you were looking to find, if you will, God, probably that energy was most prevalent in the temple. They had constructs where you'd have light coming in a certain place at a certain time. So for them, knowing just this one little thing tells us more about our ancients, our ancestors. It tells us, you know, one, what the temple meant to them, what the altar meant to them, how they used it, and how pervasive it had to be for it to be as important as something to say peace or satisfaction, right? And this wasn't just a spiritual idea. You know, you might be satisfied with a number of things. You got that promotion, you know, had your first grandchild. Oh, I feel satisfied now, right? So all these things meant, I feel good. Yes. And so for them, it all came back to that altar. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's like, so this is a little piece of kind of what I want us to pull out in this class. So in 15 minutes now, we all have said hetep before, and now we know, we have a better understanding what it means. So that's a better appreciation. Yes? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the difference between hotep and hetep.
Coming to it, man. Keep me on task. See ya.
Critical student.
Cover all of that. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about language in general. The first, if you're an archaeologist, and you study societies, either ones that exist or ones that have passed, one of the most important things understanding society is to understand first and foremost their language. So language is important to understand a community, society, or a culture. Now let's ask why. And I'm going to say more than anything that language is a window to a people's kind of internal, their communal spirit more than anything else. We can look at how they move, how they dance, how they dress, how they build, where they spend their money, any number of things to identify what things they value. You know, like if you just popped in, I was reading. Where did that come from? Brother Medu did a circle tribute on the first Africans supposedly came to America in 1619 and discussed the pirate ships. And Bakari had a AP US history lesson that actually was connected. It was actually very interesting because he was able to make some connections between what he learned from Brother Medu and his reading in school. And one of the things that popped up was, and I learned some things from reading it too, that regarding indentured servants, primarily white indentured servants, that, as you know, that one of the things that decreased indentured servitude and increased enslavement there was a number of factors, but one was that indentured servants, because they were white, they could just escape, they could just leave, they could just go to another colony and take off. And many of them, in fact, even when they escaped, they weren't very prosperous. So something like 80 or 90% of all indentured servants, after their servitude was over, and sometime thereafter, they were very poor. They were very poor, and they were landless as well. So land was really critical at the time, because land allowed you to have a farm, to have food, crops, etc. Without that, you had to rely on other people for a job or something. So many were, again, landless and poor. But there's a large number of folks who, and talk about whites, who left and joined Native American tribes. And scholars, there's some writing of the time period that says that was kind of pervasive. And they'd also, the Europeans would also gather up, it was very, very impoverished, they would gather up familyless, parentless children from the streets and gather them all up, put them on ships, and they would bring them to America as well. So you had a lot of kids here too who didn't have families, but they were. And so a lot of kids and adults would escape and go join Native American tribes. And what they were saying at the time was this was happening relatively frequently, but there was no instance of the reverse happening, where Native Americans would voluntarily come and join white colonies. And so hold on to that. So we're talking about this computer lesson about what's called the internet. Some Stanford professor has done some research and realized that ants behave in the same way that the internet behaves, and they call it the internet, right? And so what they've deduced is that ants will send out foragers to go find food.
That's right.
And so when those ants go find food, they base their response as a collective on what happens after this. So if no ants come back for like 20 minutes, they don't send anybody else out. So there's something being that folks died, there's some dude with a can of Ray by the kitchen, something happened. They don't send anybody, that makes sense, don't send anybody else out. If they come back with a lot of food, like they send out, 1,000 forager ants and they all come back loaded down, they send out a gang of them. There's a lot of food. If they come back with very little food, they send less out. Internet, I won't go to that, but it works the same way. The point I'm making to them was, and I was like, ants, that's kind of cool.
They're wise.
They're wise. And so imagine an ant community, and the kids are like, yeah, but and they'll be honest. And they said it. Yeah, they don't have any video games, they don't have any fun. And I said, well, if you think about it, in ant community, nobody's homeless, nobody goes without food, but all they do is work. Yeah, but everybody has a mission. They got a responsibility, a commitment, right? And so in the same way, I'm going back to here to this, right? So in the same way, so you take those things. So the part of the point was understand that Native Americans didn't have at the time big old, homes and ports and ships and roads and all that, but they must have had something. That wife was like, I would rather be here. I'd rather be with y'all. And I'm moving, I'm migrating, I'm going to marry someone here, going to raise kids. I'm staying here than go back to my Virginia colony. Something. And so that's what I get to. So if we want to understand, I'm sure the big part of that move had to learn the language. You had to learn that language conveyed values and culture and other ideas. In the same way when our people were brought here to this country and stripped of our language, had to learn a new language, we had to lose certain values that were not conveyed in this language. Does that make sense? Okay. So we say language is important in understanding community and culture. So why we want to study then the Medu, and it kind of becomes obvious, but why we want to study the Medu, study this language. It's not a trick question.
Well, to get insight into...
Oh, sacred way people. Woseans.
To get insight into how they lived, what they believed in.
Yes.
What they felt was important.
Yes.
Just how they developed to express themselves.
Yes.
How they developed their language.
I mean, if we're committed to this as and we are obviously, a religious expression, this is our theology, then we have to then understand the ones that created it for us. Yes? And so it allows us to see into their worldview. How they see things. We see their worldview. We see their values. We can see their theological, and I'll say spiritual take on things. If we look at, for example, and again, our focus is on where we go spiritually. If we look at the aspects they have for or a person, what they describe as a spirit and soul, and which shape they chose for those things. That tells us about how they saw things. Make sense? Okay, all right. So we're studying this language for this reason. Now let's demystify a few things. Okay, this piece doesn't work. All right. So let's demystify for a second. Told you to take you back to first grade. This is actually kindergarten right now. Obviously, we know this is cat, yes. When we talk about logic or definitions are anything we all agree to. We say here that it doesn't need to be, from the logical perspective, the thing does not need to be true to be right. It just needs to be agreed upon. As long as we all agree upon a thing, then it is true. Then it is its definition. So, if we all say that an elephant's now a snake, and we all agree to it, then the elephant is a snake, because we all agree. I kind of trip you up a little bit, but in the same way.
I can see how a group can agree on something, but that doesn't necessarily make it true, just because a group agrees on something.
Tyranny of the majority.
Well, see, majority said, but group agreement. If the group agrees, it is.
For that group.
It is so.
For that group.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? In the same way, we've already done this. We've already done this. Because we don't think about language. We just use it. We don't think that, we somehow think that this has some sacred, special, technical meaning. We think this, and we're wrong. So let's make sure you write this down. This has no meaning. This has no meaning. None. It means absolutely nothing. You can take a stick, go in the dirt, do like this all day long. And it doesn't mean anything. Except our collective agreement. We all agree that when you want the sound, when you want to express that sound, you draw this, and I'm going to say not right. All right, because between drawing and writing is just drawing with definition. Right? We're just drawing. So when you want sound, express that sound, we draw this thing here. And we all agree to it. Yeah. Right? So when you were in preschool, kindergarten, that's what we taught. We learned it. Cool, got it. If I master this, you give me an A and I keep on going. And now I'm on my way to learning the language. I'm juiced. You know, if you really want to see folks juice, go to kindergarten class, like midway, when that language starts connecting to them, they're fired up. I can read all this stuff now. But it's because we all agree to it. That's all. That's it. It's a symbol. We could all agree today that it's not going to be that. That's not going to be. We all agree. Or maybe we do this. Maybe that means. Oh, what would I do this? I think my drawing's going to be really bad. And whiskers on the cat. And maybe over time we shorten it up just to this. And then we shorten it up just to this. Just because we say so. So if you really capture that piece, then the mysteries start to fade away a little bit. Right? So the only difference is that we're going to be looking at symbols that are not tied to this locale, but a different locale. But in the same way, there's an agreement here. Act. Agree. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So understand that is just symbols that are drawn, and we all agree to it. And now we're going to look at some different symbols. Do we capture all sounds in our language? No. Do we come close? No. So in all language, there's no language that captures every sound. All languages capture the sounds that community has said is important to them. But no language captures all sound. This is not possible. You can make up all kinds of sounds. All right? So we've agreed that a certain set of sounds are the most critical, important, and we've assigned symbols to those sounds, and we constructed a language using that, and we're all cool. And there's a whole bunch of sounds that we just never make. I can't roll R's, and that's something that's in different languages. There are other languages that we know from all over the place that have sounds that we just don't know. We don't know. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, all right. So we're not going to freak out too much on learning something new, because we know it's this stuff. I'm going to jump. Yeah, let's see. We got time. So now, in the Medu Netter, is there an alphabet? Yes. Everybody agree with that? If you were to go back in time and ask the Ramej, what's your alphabet? But they have, like, you can go to any preschool classroom in America, and every preschool classroom has, the alphabet on the wall. A, big A, which is kind of ridiculous. Why we have big A and little? I mean, when you look at English, a lot of stuff, and it's not just English, but it's a lot of languages that they don't make sense. Like, do you need to have uppercase, lowercase? Do you have? Because and by the way, you don't think about it. I think about it because we teach kids, and for kids, that's confusing. It's very confusing to a kid to tell a kid that these two things have the same sound. It doesn't. It makes no sense. None to them. Why? So,
The group agreed.
Okay. We don't answer right now, but think about grammar. But to tell a kid that these 26 symbols is actually 52, and that these are the same sound, those are the same sound, it doesn't make any sense. But so you come to America, you got to learn the 20, and you want to learn English, you have to learn the 26 letters in the alphabet. You have to, and then you'll be further confused. Sometimes this has this sound, sometimes it has this sound. It just depends. A doesn't have just one sound. When you use a sound, is it a K? Is it a C? When is it S like a C? Or is it C like a K? It just depends. You know it. Well, if you're learning from scratch, it's all confusing. It makes no sense. There's too many exceptions to the various rules. So, with the Ramej say, yes, we have an alphabet. And there it is on the wall. It's stenciled in. Did they say that?
Oh, you're asking.
Yes. So would they say that? Fakadi says, no, I don't think so. Anybody else? What do you think? Do they have an alphabet? The right answer is worth 1 point. The wrong answer is also worth 1 point.
I don't know if they would call it an alphabet.
Okay, all right.
I think that they would have it as symbols of their language put together. So I don't think that they would call it an alphabet.
Okay, all right. Anybody else want to add?
If you would define an alphabet as symbols that equate to sounds as opposed to concepts and ideas, how do you differentiate, one from the other?
What gets the difference for us is typically when we say alphabet, the alphabet is the totality of the sounds in your language. It conveys everything. There's no sound outside those symbols. So in our case in English, and again, some symbols, I'm going to try occasionally to say alphabet, some symbols in English have multiple sounds. But those 26 letters, and with some having more than one sound, those 26 letters define every sound that we will ever produce in speaking English. So our alphabet is the totality of our sounds are contained in that alphabet. If you learn that, and you're good to go. All right? Then you're on your way to learning how to read. So with the Ramej for them, that they didn't have that. Because it's not an English-based or a Latin-based language. It's more, if you think more of you think more of Mandarin, Chinese, it's more like that, where there is a bunch of different symbols. So, and even when we talk about an alphabet in the Medu Netter, that's a bit of a construct that chematologists, Egyptologists later on come in and said, in order to understand the language better, to be able to figure out what these things mean, we have identified that there are a certain set of symbols that are used a lot, and then we're going to say because they're used a lot, we're going to call that's kind of sort of their alphabet. Kind of, sort of. Does that make sense? So when we say alphabet, be clear, they didn't have an alphabet. They didn't look at it. We are taking our idea what alphabet is, and again, we're all agreeing to it. Yes? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to say, here are the most common ones that you're going to find, given us to their language. There's a bunch of other stuff that is outside the alphabet. For example, when we drew the altar, that's not a part of the alphabet at all. But that's a symbol you'll see a lot. But it's not in the alphabet. And we'll say more about that. Does that make sense? So if I say alphabet, it's a bit of a construct to help us to be able to understand, to start to understand the language a little better, and to give it some hooks for us that are easier given our understanding of English. Because we come in with a sense of, we're looking for some vowels, some A, E, I, O, U. We're looking for that. That doesn't really exist in the Medu. So we're making it exist. Saying, okay, this symbol is going to sound like our A. Although really it's not really an A, but it's kind of sort of close. Yes? Okay, all right. Let's see here. So there are 24, and these are ones that you got to learn. I have a handout for you. I have kind of the key handouts in here.
Was these all what you think? Thank you.
You heard that? So this is the alphabet. At least what we're saying is the alphabet. Give me 1 second. 1 sec. Okay, cool. I can see it now. So what I have here is a basic sounds. These are actually all consonants. They're not, like I said, they're not really vowels. Vowel is, by our definition, is a sound you make without constricting any of your tongue, your lips. So if you say like, O, you say O, there's no constriction of your tongue at all. As opposed to saying like W. You've got to snap your tongue, you can move your lip a little bit. And so if it's an almost unrestricted sound, that's a vowel. So E, I, O, U, it's just coming straight out. There's no constriction. That's what a vowel is for us in English. Does that make sense? Okay. So they don't really have any vowels. In fact, their language, they use vowels when they're speaking, but they don't write vowels. And that's true for a number of current languages. So anyway, going through real quick, we see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, and this sh sound. And you would, if you saw it, you would think, that's why I want to make the point earlier, you would think, hey, that's just like English. No, it's not. So what Egyptologists are doing is saying, here is our A through Z, and here are the sounds that are like that. Make sense? It's not something, it's not happenstance, it's not a coincidence. There's a deeper meaning in it. No, there's not. Okay? It was built up. So let's go through some of the symbols. So what is this shape right here? And I have, can you see it in your drawing? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what is this? What's the shape of? What is that? A symbol? Bird. That's a bird. What kind of bird is that? And I say, what kind of bird? So like, for example, getting this book you can probably get for maybe $10 or I don't know. I got it for $6. Vulture, the owl, there's a chicken, duck, right? And this book is Egyptian language by Bud. How many mammals, I should say? Just one. What is that? It's a lion. And sometimes you only draw the front of the lion. I'll show you some ways to drawing it a little easier. Parts of the body, or parts of a body. Could be animal or human. 3. So we got R is what? We got the R. What does R represent? Mouth.
B.
What else? Oh, we got the foot. We got, so that's the lower half. And then D is what? That's our hand. And any others? We got the leg, the hand, and we got the mouth. Some things are objects, like there's a wicker basket. That's C. This is actually, S is sometimes referred to as a towel that might be draped over your arm. Z is a boat, a door boat. So imagine a door closing, you lock the boat. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. G is a jar. It's actually a container for a jar stand. So it's not a jar. So supposedly, I think in Kemet, they sometimes make jars that were not flat. I think it's by virtue of how it was being, using a potter's wheel and turned, so it wasn't a flat surface all the time. And so they would sit there in jars, in a jar stand to rest it. Kind of like if you have like a really fancy tea thermos that actually does brewing, while you have the tea, and it might be too hot, so you might put in like some ice cubes that cool. I have to see it, thing. Okay. You weren't supposed to get that anyway. H is a wicker, which is so we go into a candle. We've got N is what?
Water.
Water. We mentioned that quite a bit earlier. Let's see here. Q is what?
Slope.
So this is part of the heel. Which did we cover most of them? It's kind of ways it through. So if we did, we'll get to them. So let's go through. Let's start off. First assignment is going to be to do some drawing. And I also have index cards. I got both white and yellow ones. So what are you going to be doing for next week is going to make your own index cards.
Each one?
Yes.
One card for each
yes.
symbol?
Yes, yes. And I even brought you cards.
To start.
Thank you. You're welcome. So a couple is going around. So we're all going to draw together. The sheriff council. Excuse me. I think they're all pretty sharp too. They better be, otherwise it takes some more time doing that. Everybody has paper? Okay. Baba Timber wants to come to the table. Come on in, brother.
Yeah, squeeze right in, brother. Brother Adrian.
Now, side note, we just got a grant via. There'll be an event here in the space, probably in about 3 weeks or so. We don't have a date yet, but the school received a grant via Larry Reed and Sandra Swanson through some Native American Educational Foundation for $5,000, and we haven't actually got the check yet, although we bought something already. Checks in the mail. And so one of the things we got with the grant, that's the reason why we did that, we got with the grant, was to get 10 iPads for the students here. And so one of the things I thought it'd be kind of cool. We had everybody iPads, you guys can draw on the iPad, it'd be kind of fun. So it might be something we might want to consider. It'd be kind of fun. Anyway, sorry, they would like it. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Awakoaiye. Okay, let's go through a few. So you got your pencils ready to go?
What about, were you supposed to hand out cards or paper?
Cards. Oh, well, I figure we do some scratch right now.
All right.
Just get started. You're using cards. You want to be tight with the cards.
They pronounce, people of Kemet pronounce the word.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a qualify and say I'm not a linguist, but yes, in order to try to figure out as best scholars can as to what the sounds were, then yes, they would make connections, because there's some connection. Rosetta Stone, which I hadn't gone talking about, but we should talk about that. And maybe we'll do it next week.
That's a very
but the Rosetta Stone provided some clues for sound, because Rosetta Stone had the names of several
languages,
kings in different languages, and so one of which they knew, and other ones they were able to make a connection to. So that gives us some clues. So it's not just made up, but there's some sounds we just don't know. That's why I'm saying we don't really speak the language. So our vulture here. One way to do it that I do is I always just do a flat head and a curved beak. I start there. The pencil's not in your hand, I'm going to stop. I'm going to wait for you to put the pencil in your hand. So again, flat. It's like back in the day we had the flat top fade. Remember those? Yeah. I saw some young cat at a football game with that. I was like, oh, they're bringing it back. Flat top fades on comeback.
So is the natural.
Natural too, boy. And next, you're going to have good grades coming back in the so anyway, but straight line with a hook. And then just focus on just the wing here. And it kind of comes up here, back down. And then roll the feet and then straight down. Now you can add a lot of detail to that if you want to. And this is where, you know, it's like everybody can write the Medu. And certainly if you have artistic skills, which, yeah, I guess what, you can extend this. So you can actually do a head and show the beak like that. And you can draw a wing, which is also kind of cool, is actually to do a, I forgot what they call with birds. There's a flight feathers or something. I forget. So there's a wing and there's a tail piece of the bird's head back here. Like that. Make sense? Okay, so I'm just showing you the basics of just this. So again, between doing something more elaborate and color and all that, and just doing a basic, depending upon how much time you had. Usually with time. If you're writing a quick letter to a friend, you're doing this. If you've been commissioned by the Pura or the temple priest to do some wall, you got all the time in the world. So it's kind of like, I was watching a movie about the railroads and building of the railroad from across the country, and I guess some railroad baron, he was beating up subordinates because they kept doing railroads. They did railroads like this. This is how put into it. That's our A. Everybody do an A? Mm-hmm. Proud of your A? Do one more A real quick. Like here, don't be scared. Just put it down. Okay, let's try B, and the B is what? Leg. So it's the lower half of a leg. That's all you gotta do. You can add more detail into it. So again, it's the lower leg. Clean up a little bit. And there's some toes in there, ankle, calf place like this. You get as fancy as you want.
Put some corn on the
some corn, some bunions, right? You can hook it up nice. So again, simple as that. You get more detail.
Now, is it typically the left foot? Or does
Good question.
The alpha change if it's the right leg?
It depends on what direction, and I haven't what direction we're reading. So the Medu is not it's not right to left or left to right. It depends upon the orientation of the reader. So it could be in this direction, it could be the other direction. Yeah. Make sense? Okay. Then we got C, and what does that represent?
Basket.
That one's pretty straightforward. So again, we just want a half circle. I guess one could add in, maybe if it's a weave basket, you could do maybe that, I guess. A weave basket of some sort. Get some dimension to the little handle there. Do that. But maybe make it a little three-dimensional. Something like that. Do that. But again, at its basics, it's just half circle. That's all. Move one in. You're done. That's all you got to do. Anything more than that, just because you got some time. And I'd imagine that it's if you really take time, it can be kind of meditative. Very much so. Just take your time with it. I can imagine going to the park, a nice Sunday after Wose, and just go hang out with your drawing tablet. Do some writing. Do some drawing. It'll be fun. How many in here draw? Anybody? One, two. Currently, yes. Given all responsibilities, I got time to draw. Yeah, how many draw right now?
Not now.
Okay. If you had the time, how many would just like to sit down for a half hour? Just doodle. It doesn't mean it's a fancy, whatever. Just doodle a little bit. Yeah.
I draw frequently, but I usually draw trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're a tree guy. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love trees.
Too. Another tree for the earth.
Yeah. Now, listen, you don't see a lot. I don't see a lot of trees in this language.
Right.
But again, where they were and where we are different. If we were to do a language like this, especially given that we live in Northern California, we'd have lots of trees. It'd be hard not to think of trees when you think about nature here. But take time. That's why we're doing the index cards. But beyond that, just take time to find a little quiet spot, which again we never do. I don't do it either. I go home. I should go outside in the backyard. I don't. But this is the class is that time to make us take the time to do it. And don't be in a rush. Okay, hand. That's D. All you got to come up here. That's all you got to do. It's more like a mitten, really. All right. Now, again, we can add more levels of detail. Something like that, maybe. Like that, maybe.
Very good.
Like I said, so we're gonna keep it simple, a little more detail. Keep it real simple, but basically it's just a mitten. So, because again, and I think if you all remember back in elementary doing this, everybody remembers this, right? Yeah. You got a turkey. How did we get a turkey from that one?
Yeah, you do. That's the head right there.
That's the head.
Those are the feathers.
Oh yeah, just put a property on it.
I'm talking like that.
That's how we used to make turkeys.
Yeah. So hey, put your hand up there, and away you go. There's your hand. You got yourself a D. Congratulations. Yeah, it's not complicated. Not complicated. Then we got reed leaf. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's like making a sail for a boat. So if you were drawing a boat, you got a sail for the boat. That'd be your reed leaf. That's all you got to do. Again, don't overthink it. You can add in some lines there if you want to. That's for E. And then I. Comparing E and I is just one reed leaf and E is two reed leaves. Let's do the viper. And this one, I need a little, I don't have as much detail on this one. Let's go down this way. The key here is actually, the key thing that makes a viper is this right here. This is what is key. As long as you got that, you're okay. I haven't seen a viper in a few weeks now, so.
You didn't watch any of the RNC.
Oh,
Lots of vipers, crocodiles.
So you're anticipating my historical perspective.
We got the jar, and it's kind of like that. A little bit. And there's just like a diamond in the middle there. And it's a jar stand. Let's go to, sorry guys. Let's go to, I'm going to skip around a little bit. Let's try the owl. Sometimes it's a difficult one to do for some people. And, that's M. Very common. And one way of doing this is really, think of the vulture, just like the vulture, except for, just do a diamond like that. Not diamond, triangle. So that's all. And that captures the head here of the owl. And then do the same wings you give to the vulture. Same legs, everything else the same. Only difference is the head. And that's a nice, easy way of drawing the owl. Of course, you can be a little more distinctive. And it actually has, it's like, I think it was like a Dracula cape. It's kind of, Dracula does this thing right here. A bunch of blood, It's kind of looks like that a little bit to me. But the tail feather is a little bit bigger. You only see it gets these jokes, so.
But you're highly entertained.
Like that, brother. There you go again. Other one, let's try. Other ones are pretty straightforward. So the mouth is just that. You could add some lips on it like that and make it really nice. Yeah, so that's all you need is this right here in the middle. A little football. Okay. Keep those pencils moving. Can't learn if you're not drawing. Let's see here. Let's try. The line is always kind of tough too. That's a tough one. What I end up doing is I end up focusing on the front of the face, and I'll do this. So more like a human face. Remember, I went to school at Manzanita, and our first year running track, we had to create a school mascot, and so we all agreed on the dragons. So we're the Manzanita Dragons, and then the teacher, Miss Peggy Laughlin. I think she lives on Laurel off MacArthur, and she's a really good teacher, and a lot of nice ideas. And so one thing she did, she had a contest to make our shirts for the Manzanita Dragons for our track team. And so when she brought in some, I don't know, one of those ink pressers, I forgot what you call them things, silk screen. Yeah, I don't know where she got it from. And so all the kids would do their Manzanita Dragon logo, and first year I won. So I was kind of juiced. I think I still have that shirt at the house. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, you do. And so every year there'd be a new design. So each year there'd be a new contest. Apparently the other kids became better artists, and I became worse. So I was after the first year I wasn't even close, and they accused my dragons of looking like dogs. Like you keep drawing dogs, man. It's supposed to be a dragon. So my lion is like a human face. That's what my point right there. And what I do is I do a lot of squeak stuff right here to give it some dimensions for like the mane, and then the key here is just do the shoulders and the leg here, or the paw, I should say, hanging over. And that's your L. Be a lion. Now, if you're really good at doing a lion, and for some of these, if you really want to be good at it, it'd be good to see, get a picture of a lion and capture the essence of the lion. That'd be good to do, which I haven't done. But if you were to kind of put up a little bit better and whiskers here, something like that, it might get a little better. But the key here is, again, that. And really, you see the whole body here. Let's take bus, truck, and music. Let's take those first three. And so looking at the alphabet, try to write out transliterate the word bus. So give me a B, give me a B, sound, and that S sound. Make sense? Got it. Why you guys are not back over here and start along with it. Sore. The hot bath, man. And all the schools are supplied by our school. So if you'd like to contribute a few bucks, you do it right now, but that'd be nice. Not a big deal.
And there's also a donation button on the Helium Day webpage and we'll send that page.
Oh yeah, we're in high funding mode now. Who wants to come aboard this bus for us? Go ahead, Carl. You bus for us. Let me bring a sheet with you. Go ahead, you're up. Come on, girlie, let's go. Good work.
He said struggle. Bus. Well, no. That's fun. I need to work on my I'm moving too stupid.
I gotta bring mine. That book in our class on the book of coming forth. We definitely get it in that case. And also, there's also the volume set here, which is also great. You probably need it now. I wouldn't. It's kind of expensive. Anybody have an iPad? Any iPad people here?
Low tech.
There's an app that costs $19. I was waiting for it to go on sale. It doesn't, so it's going to be $19. Got to suck up to buy it. But it's an app. There's a version for the iPhone, which is about $3, I think. But they have the entire dictionary on the iPad, and it doesn't require internet connection. So you just scroll through, look for the words. Yeah, for $19. Pretty cool. Yes.
Well,
nice Kwanzaa gift, by the way. Just iTunes card, $20 iTunes card. You know, it could be a gift for your teacher before Kwanzaa. You know, be like, hey, thanks, teach. You know, I won't turn. A teacher like that wouldn't turn it down.
I would have never thought about that.
We gotta have these conversations.
I was going to ask, since the C and the K are the same symbol, do you still draw them twice?
Ah, good question. So Mama Fanya says, since for our truck, the C sounded, do we need C and K? Do we need it?
No.
So could we write truck T-R-U-K and just say truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. So yeah, we don't need it. We don't need it. All right. So cool. So car records out bus. Thank you, Mama Fanya. So we've got the foot. We've got the quelche. Good job with the quelche because it's kind of tough to do. And we've got the S for our cloth. So we've got bus here, B-U-S. And then over here we got for our T. Now we didn't mention the T. T, by the way, is the shape of what? Loaf of bread. So you can imagine that bread, you know, roll it up and it starts to rise. Loaf of bread. We've got our R for that, and we've got U. Again, that's our quelche, again, a tough one. And then just one of these will say C or K, and that's our truck. Yes? For music, what's our first one for music?
The owl.
Owl. So we'll do a quick owl. That's our M. Mu.
Quail chick.
Quail chick. Now we can do a full quail chick. I always mention like a little fat, large chick. Another shorthand for the quail chick is actually doing circle like that. That's a shorthand for a quail chick. Everybody takes that out because it's like it's much easier to do that. Now give us music, yes. To segue to a lessons for next week, we'll talk about other things they did to make their words clear. And they use what's called determinatives, which are other symbols that reinforce the meaning of the word. Like in this case, we might, using our own stuff here, we might do something like this, indicate this relates to music. But if this would have no sound, it would just be a way for you to know, hey, that's related to music. Our bus and our truck we might conclude this with a symbol for a vehicle. Would have no sound. So in the middle of that, they do the exact same thing. They have symbols that help you understand what that word is supposed to mean. It's like clues. And it's particularly important because there's no vowel, so it becomes even more critical to figure out what are they really trying to say here. Make sense? Okay. So I'm going to stop here for assignment. If you can do, you should have it in the handout. You should do your index cards. I don't have it here, but write a note to a classmate for something simple they can do in class. So we're going to start off next week's class by them taking that, translating and going through it. Like, bring me a chair, give me a cup of water, go open and close the door, go hit a drum 2 times, something like that. Write each of the letters 5 times just as practice, and then do your index cards, and then write your full name and then Medu. Any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
Question I asked earlier.
Yes.
Difference between
I'm sorry. The short answer is that we don't know. We don't know because when we're looking here at chapters, they didn't write with vowels. We have no idea. So we have the slightest idea whether they meant they're doing this or they're doing that. We don't know. Okay, so it could be hotap, could be hetep, could be hotap. All we know is there's an H, there's a T, there's a P. What most folks have agreed to is to insert E's into. And that applies to anything. So Amen, for example, can be written as Amen with an E in, could be Aman, could be written any number of ways. We've agreed to stick an E in here in the middle. Because we don't know. Start with you.
Brother Shane.
thought you had it. I didn't want to let Brother Cuttabaza do it today.
I got responsibility. It's on you, brother. Don't shirk the.
Yep.